I'm Jennie Gage, and this is Life Take Two. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennie, and this is Life Take Two. I know there's a lot of great stuff out there on YouTube, and I always appreciate you stopping on one of my videos on that topic. Just a little bit of my backstory. I was born and raised in the alt-right religious community, and education was never a priority for girls. I'm 20 seconds into my own video and I'm already about to cry because this is something that is probably the regret of my life, that I didn't have the opportunity for more education. I met my now ex-husband at age 19. I became a Mormon trad wife when I was 20. And I spent my entire adult life changing diapers and baking sourdough and being my husband's helpmeet and making our home magical. What I didn't spend my life doing was getting any type of education. So while I've been on social media for about 6.5 years, I have about 400,000 followers over on TikTok. And then I have you, my family, here on YouTube. And I've been really confident sharing my life experience. I never felt confident to talk about politics, economics, world events, simply because of my lack of education. How much education did I have exactly? I went to a Mormon college for 2 years. It was called Rick's College at the time. It's BYU, Idaho now. And most of my classes were Book of Mormon, dating and marriage, early childhood development, and things like that. So most of what I know is stuff that I've learned in books, listened to on podcasts. I'm very much self-educated, and I know that it shows. Let me tell you, I have a whole team behind me with my therapist, my partner, Kevin, other friends who are creators and authors and actual economists and politicians and things like that to help me feel confident enough to share my political views. So I know that I don't always speak the lingo, and I know that my videos aren't always the most high quality, and I hope that you'll forgive me for that. I don't have degrees. I never had a job. I wasn't out there in the real world. Again, I was at home changing diapers and baking sourdough bread. But what I do have is something that even people with 10 PhDs may not have. And that is 44 years inside the Mormon church and 48 years inside the alt-right community and what would eventually become MAGA. And I grew up without computers or iPhones or anything. I'm a 51-year-old grandma who's just trying to figure stuff out on my own, and I'm doing the best that I can. So thank you to all of you who have been patient with me as I just try to share my journey and my insights with you. I do want to make an announcement that I am launching my book club by popular demand Monday, October 1st. I've been very selective with who I wanted to partner with because they have to fit certain parameters. So I've collaborated with a female-owned Canadian publisher who has a whole bunch of things going on with her publishing company that I really support with all of my heart. And she's going to give us our first book, our October book, for free, and then huge discounts and a lot of freebies. And I will be moving forward in this partnership indefinitely. So I will announce that book in a video later this week and give everybody a link to access that on October 1st. So stay tuned. I'm really excited for this. Today, I want to dive into the war on the poor. And what I want to share is my life experience as somebody who had money. Now, I was never a billionaire or like a multimillionaire or anything like that. But my ex-husband and I made a considerable amount of money and lived a pretty incredible life. And then I lost everything. My whole life, take two, left me sleeping in my Mercedes SUV in a Walmart parking lot with a red Solo cup as my bathroom overnight and a little GoFundMe for friends to help donate gas money so that I could get around. And I lost absolutely everything when my husband of 24 years abandoned our family. And when I left the Mormon church and my family and my entire huge alt-right community shunned me. I have not seen my parents and most of my family since 2018 when I left the Mormon church. I am completely cut off. So when that marriage ended, I lost everything. And it was a really hard thing to go through, but it helped me to see the other side. And here's what I'll tell you. People who are economically challenged do not understand what is inside the head of rich people. They absolutely don't. And part of the reason for that, I think, is that when you struggle with your finances, You have to be cooperative and communal. You have to have your tribe to support you. And so we project our connection and empathy for other people onto rich people. And we think, man, if I was rich, then I would buy my mom and my sister and, all of my neighbors a better house, and I would take care of people. But I have to tell you that when you get rich, rarely do you do that. We're going to dive into that today. First, I want to do something that, as an ex-MAGA, is still kind of hard for me to do. I can't believe that I'm doing this today. I'm going to play a little clip from Bernie Sanders, and let me tell you why that's so hard. I had never actually listened to a single word out of Bernie Sanders' mouth until like 2 months ago. I know, that's hilarious. And I hated him anyway. I hated everything that he stood for. I hated the name Bernie Sanders. I probably have all kinds of Instagram and Facebook posts about how much Bernie Sanders sucked during some of the elections, not knowing anything about his policies or his agenda. And yesterday I listened to this video, cried my eyes out, and I was like, oh my God, Bernie Sanders was right. So let me play you just a little snippet of something that Bernie said yesterday.
What we are witnessing right now, right before our eyes, is the rise of two very separate and distinct Americas. One for the billionaire class and one for everybody else. In one America, the richest people are becoming obscenely richer and have never, ever had it so good. That America is overflowing with unimaginable wealth, greed, and opulence that makes the Gilded Age seem very modest. And then there is a second America, an America where a majority of our people live, and they are trying to survive, paycheck to paycheck, and they are struggling to secure the very basic necessities of life, nothing fancy. We're talking about food, healthcare, housing, education, and other basic needs. The simple truth is that never before in our history have so few had so much wealth and power, while at the same time, so many Americans live in economic desperation.
And now some words are going to come out of my mouth that I never thought would be coming out of my mouth. I 100% agree with what Bernie Sanders says. There are two Americas, and the two Americas are living completely separate lives, and the rich Americans are at war against the rest of us. They're resource hoarders, and they're trying to build power and wealth in ways that no human being ever has before. Today, I'm taking you on a field trip. I'm taking you to a neighborhood where I once almost bought a home. I currently live in a tiny apartment that I can barely afford. It's only been a couple of months that I've known at least a week or two in advance that I could pay my rent on the first. And that's how I've rolled for the past 7 years. But in my MAGA Mormon trad wife days, my life was, like I say, very different. I haven't been back in this neighborhood since my ex-husband Jake and I looked at this home originally and negotiated back and forth with the realtor, trying to make the decision about whether or not we were going to purchase it. And it was absolutely overwhelming to see my old life. While Kevin drove me around in our very humble car, the massive home that me and my ex-husband had once considered buying, something hit me. I want you guys to know that these scripts, these videos that I'm putting up on YouTube here, they are literally me processing through stuff for the very first time. I'm not trying to say cool stuff for YouTube. I'm just thinking out loud and walking you through my old life. You guys are sort of my free therapists, so thank you. Anyway, I wrote this script in real time as Kev drove me around, and I saw the stark contrast between my tiny little apartment and barely scrimping by life that we live now and the old world that I used to live in. And it wasn't really a script either. I wasn't sitting in my car writing a script. It was just a flood of thoughts in my head, and then this light bulb moment where I saw clearly what it was all about. So come with me for a home tour and a peek into my old alt-right, rich religious people life. I talk a lot about my former life in rich religious communities, but you can't see my former life because I'm always filming from my tiny apartment. Today I thought I'd take a peek for myself, and I took a video to show you. Because I don't think a lot of normal people see behind the gates of these neighborhoods and can't really understand the wealth that there is. Years ago, when I was a young Mormon, Republican, conservative, alt-right trad wifey, my husband and I considered buying a house in here. We didn't buy it because it wasn't quite perfect. I wasn't sure that the neighborhood was exactly what we wanted. And as Kev drives me through this neighborhood today, I keep picturing the woman that I used to be, a woman who was fiercely defending my religion, my country, my values. And it hit me. What was I actually protecting when I defended my religion and America so hard? You guys, look at all the cars in some of these driveways, and then like the private little arched gates that go back to private garages. And these houses have like 10 garages. I was protecting privilege. I fought for Trump and MAGA because I was protecting my privilege to worship in $60 million temples, my privilege to run a massive business, my privilege to be over capacity in my parenting and take my 5 kids to 5-star resorts in Aspen, Telluride, Maui, and Seattle, my privilege to hunt, my privilege to own land, to live in $1 million homes in country club neighborhoods like this one. By the way, we didn't buy the house in this neighborhood, I think I already said, but we bought a nicer one in a better country club. Today I heard the words alt-left pipeline for the first time, and I laughed out loud. I'd never heard that before. I hit that pipeline, baby, and it swept me straight out of MAGA and straight into compassion, love, happiness, reality, connection with myself, other humans, and the earth. Funny thing is, Donald Trump was the alt-left pipeline for me. I snapped one day listening to a MAGA thing on Fox News 2 years ago, and that was it. I love this house, by the way. Up to that point, I hated everyone, and I lived in constant fear. And it turns out hate and fear can be unlearned. Here I am today with empathy and passion and connection and kindness. This house, this is so big. It's bigger than my entire condo that I live in. It wraps around the corner here. It's insane. I think we have 20 condos in a unit as big as that. And this house has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it has more garages on the other side. It's insane. The thing is, I was going to church to learn those things, to learn the connection and empathy and kindness and compassion, but I was looking for love in all the wrong places. It wasn't in a church. It wasn't in a book or a sermon. It was inside me all along. Like hardwood floors in an old Victorian buried under glossy linoleum. You know, this old house guys, they would pop a corner and there it is. Solid oak hardwood that the homeowners had no idea was there. That's what it was like for me to discover that I had this love and compassion inside. This house just keeps going and going. Like we've rounded the corner now, and there's so much more. Oh my God. I didn't need to learn love. I am love. All humans are. I always had the capacity to love. I just had to strip away the religion that had taught me to hate. But there was a day when I was at war, when my daily routine started with a prayer to be a literal warrior against Satan. Please protect me and my babies from his evil influence. Lead me not to temptation. Deliver me from evil. I was a church girl, a religious trad wife, a mother in Zion, a light on the hill, a Providence woman, a Latter-day Saint, an elect lady, Heavenly Father's chosen. And I fought hard every day to make the world a better place, to make America God's country. I opposed Prop 8 and worked with our HOA board to ban alcohol from the neighborhood Halloween party. I voted against baby killers like Hillary Clinton and started a mom's group to boycott Oprah because she was the spawn of Satan. She was the spawn of Satan because she had gay people on her show, by the way. And that was a 10-year boycott. It was wild. I fought for gun rights and fought against immigrant rights. And I remember standing in my living room with tears running down my face when Donald Trump said he was going to run for president to make America great again. And that meant protecting people like me, hard-working Christian patriots. I clapped my hands and smiled when he chanted, "Build a wall," said amen when he talked about how much he hates half of America, because I did too. They were a threat to my privileged existence. This house to me just screams out Wuthering Heights. I don't know what it'll look like when it's done, but I picture it on like the English moors surrounded by heather. Tonight, as Kev drove me through this neighborhood where I could have once afforded a home and my current condo is roughly the size of one bay of one of these garages here, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't fight for Yeshua, the humble rabbi who preached poverty and empathy. I fought for $1 million homes with 2 dishwashers and 7 bedrooms because the system was my only avenue to achieving any of it. My American dream was built on minimum wage workers, on paying hardly any taxes. I was a resource hoarder. And the sad truth is that most in the MAGA movement don't have privilege. They're fighting for survival, but they don't have a microphone, don't have a voice, and they don't have power. They're being manipulated by the privileged few at the top. They're protecting their right to worship and hunt and run their auto repair shops, raise their kids in peace, but they're being taken advantage of. If I could tell the underprivileged Republicans one thing, it's this. It seemed like we were all in it together, but we were not. Those of us inside of these neighborhoods, we didn't care about you. I didn't care about you. And I believed God had cursed you, which was obvious from your poverty. I wanted you to vote for the guy I wanted at the top to protect all the pretty things I couldn't live without, so I could pass that stunning homesteading hobby farm with a custom-built farmhouse down to my privileged children. So I could spend summers hiking in Maui. True story, that's what I did in my summers. Winters, driving my fancy-ass BMW with the ski package to Telluride, where the ski valet waxed and snapped my skis onto my fancy-ass boots for me. A new ski ensemble for every day we were there, by the way. Very expensive ski ensembles. I fought immigrants and gays and Democrats to build a wall around my own personal wealth because God had blessed me and Satan was working hard to take it all from me. That's what religious white privilege looked like in my life. And that's what I was actually protecting. Now, I would never have acknowledged or even understood this at the time, but in hindsight, the battle that I was fighting was to protect my stuff. Why would I want socialism? Why would I want universal health care? Why would I want paid maternity leave? My husband worked hard to give us the life that we lived, and it wasn't his job to pay taxes for the losers who didn't work as hard as him. That's what I thought. I would have seen my life as a holy war. I was just fighting to spread the gospel of Jesus on the earth and being a light on the hill. You guys, throughout the neighborhood, there's these little like fancy ass stone fireplaces and little just like restrooms and stuff in the middle of the pecan orchards. Oh my God. But once again, everything right now comes down to class warfare. I was actually engaged in a class war myself, fighting against equality for everybody else because, I mean, who wouldn't want to live this life? And if you are lucky enough to climb the ladder of other people to live in like this mansion right here with all the hedges and the grass surrounded by some 100-year-old pecan farm, massive swimming pools, and like some of these houses have like pickleball courts and tennis courts and basketball courts, and oh my God, it just goes, this house goes on for miles here. I wish that the normal, regular people could see behind the curtains of the life I've lived and what motivates people like my former self. This right here, this is what they're all fighting for. By the way, this neighborhood is predominantly Mormon and Christian. It's in a highly Mormon dense neighborhood. And I saw more American flags in here today than I've ever seen anywhere. Now back to reality, my regular life outside the gates. Thanks for watching.